Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Norristown Farm Park. I'm Marcy Toepel, State Representative of the 147th Legislative District, and we're here today to celebrate the passage of Act 42 of 2017. This was a little while coming. Been working on this legislation for over 5 years. I think I started in 2011. Back when Josh Shapiro, Leslie Richards, and Bruce Castor were the commissioners, and we worked on this legislation right up to today, working with Val Kush, with Joe Gale, and with Ken Lawrence, our current county commissioners. I also want to thank my colleagues behind me here. I have a bunch of legislators who are supportive of this legislation as well. In fact, there is a former member in the audience as well, Mike Verb. Started way back when we worked on this legislation. What it actually does, this was amended into a larger gaming bill, which corrects the local share of the Valley Forge Casino. It currently goes to the Commonwealth Financing Authority, and we're going to redirect that money to the county. So it's going to benefit county parks, trails, and historic sites, and also two nonprofits in Montgomery County that serve the residents of Montgomery County, Mission Kids and Laurel House. And you're going to hear from each one of those groups in just a moment. But just to explain a little bit what this bill does is there's about $1.7 million of revenue that's generated at the Valley Forge that should go to the county. And that money now will be divided. As of January 2018, 75% of that money will go to the county parks, and 25% of that money will be divided between Mission Kids and Laurel House. So we're all excited today to announce this change in the revenue that's generated at Valley Forge. And with that, I would like to introduce some of the speakers today. First, I would like to introduce Chairwoman of the Montgomery County Commissioners, Dr. Valerie Arkush.
Thank you, Representative Toepel. It's really exciting to be here today to celebrate this achievement. I know you have worked tirelessly for the last 5 years to get this bill passed. When I became a commissioner in early 2015, my first official act as a commissioner, I think I'd been a commissioner for about 2 weeks, was to get in the car and drive to Harrisburg and testify in favor of this bill. So it's really exciting to be standing here with you today to say thanks. I'd also like to personally thank the members of our Montgomery County legislative delegation who voted for this bill. They include Representatives Boyle, Briggs, Corr, Daly, Delicio, Hennessy, Camp, Stevens, Quigley, and Senators Hughes, Leach, and Mensch. We're very, very grateful. As you've heard, this local share is going to bring approximately $1.7 million annually into the county. We will be receiving that on a quarterly basis, and we will then in turn make sure that the shares that go to the other organizations, who you'll hear from shortly, Laurel House and Mission Kids, get their share. So really very pleased to have this opportunity to continue to grow and maintain our trails and our park systems. This system consists of 7 parks, 4 historic sites, and over 90 miles of trails in our network, and it is one of the things that people value most who live and work here in Montgomery County. The system's maintained by a dedicated staff of maintenance workers, educators, curators, rangers, and site supervisors spread over 3 regions within the county. And I'd like to recognize some of those individuals. Some are here today, some are not. But Chris Smith, Director of Assets and Infrastructure, oversees all of this work. Dave Clifford is our Parks Administrator. Scott Morgan is our Parks Region Manager. Ken Schellenberger is the Park Supervisor right here at Norristown Farm Park. And we also have a couple members of our Parks, Trails, and Historic Sites Advisory Board here with us today. Don Orcutt from Green Lane is our Chair. Lee Altadonna from Wyncote is our Vice Chair. Bill Bushnell from Collegeville, Bruce L. Castor Jr. from Lower Salford, Catherine Gauthier from Roslyn, Carl Kelman from Phoenixville, Beth Pilling from Lower Gwinnett, and James Webb from Abington. I just want to thank those that are here personally and the others for all the time and effort that they volunteer to that very important advisory board. Through October of 2017, our Parks, Trails, and Historic Sites has seen 2.2 million visitors just since the beginning of 2017. To put that in perspective, for the entirety of 2016, we saw 2.1 million viewers and only 1.7 in 2015. So you can see how this these parks, trails, and sites are growing as very important tourist destinations, and we know that these new funds that are going to come in will only strengthen that these places as tourist sites. Right here in Norristown Farm Park, so far this year, 95,000 visitors. Our trail systems and connections have been noted as some of the best in the country. Our Schuylkill River Trail has won national awards. Our historic sites preserve a unique collection of history for our country and our county, and we're very proud of that. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for helping us celebrate this wonderful achievement. And thank you to Representative Toepel and all of our Montgomery County delegation for who voted yes on this very important bill. Thanks.
Ken, you want me to introduce you?
No,
You introduce
I
yourself.
think I can handle it. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Ken Lawrence, Vice Chair of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. I would like to join Val in thanking Representative Toepel and all the members of the Montgomery County delegation who joined together in a bipartisan way to benefit not only our parks, but two critical nonprofits here in our county who serve some of our most vulnerable citizens. As our chair said, we have 7 parks, 4 historic sites, and 90 miles of trails. And while funding for new assets like new pavilions and longer trails grab the most attention, there's actually a lot of maintenance work that goes on to keep up the trails and the parks with the number of visitors that we have going through. I'm going to speak briefly about some of the projects that this money will help fund. Here at the Norristown Farm Park, some of these projects include new bathrooms in the pavilion area, improvements to the internal roads, trails, and bridges. You still won't be able to drive across, though, to get here. Ongoing tree planting along Germantown Pike, and the trail here, which is one of my favorite trails to run on in the county. Other projects in our system include repaving and trail widening at the Schuylkill River Trail, one of our most popular trails that's been going on, maintenance of the Perkiomen Trail, which is our oldest trail, and then new amenities and improvements at the Upper Schuylkill Valley Park and Lock 60. We're also working on a new visitor center under construction at Mill Grove, and new bathrooms and other amenities at the Lower Perkiomen Valley Park. And then also increased parking at the Lorimer Park on the Pennypack Trail. So we're spreading this all around the county. I think we covered most of the legislative districts represented here. So, and looking forward to all the improvements that will take place in our parks and trails. So thank you once again to our delegation. And now Commissioner Gale has a few remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to join you here today. I also express my thanks to the Montgomery County delegation in Harrisburg, and I'm going to focus on the portion of the 2 organizations that are critical to Montgomery County. Not only will this law change our parks and trails and historic sites, but the portion of revenue that has been dedicated to Laurel House and Mission Kids, both of which provide very important services to families in the county that are in need. I'd like to recognize Abby Newman, who we'll hear from later, Executive Director of Mission Kids. Mission Kids helps to ease the criminal justice process for abused children in Montgomery County, providing the necessary support services to help them heal and ensure that their abusers are punished. Their staff of highly experienced local professionals are trained. They recently moved into a new facility and are doing an outstanding job, and also work very closely with the Montgomery County Children and Youth Department. I'd also like to recognize Beth Sturman, Executive Director of Laurel House. Laurel House is also another critical resource for those seeking help from domestic abuse, which can happen to anyone, anywhere, of any age, religion, sexual orientation, or gender. Every year, more than 3,000 women and their children seek domestic violence services through Laurel House, an outstanding number. Unfortunately, all those numbers are being served. Laurel House also provides training to thousands of students, medical professionals, law enforcement officers, and members of the community to recognize domestic abuse victims in our community and to help them get the help they need. Again, I'd like to express my thanks to the members of the delegation. Today is a positive day for Montgomery County, and all the residents in the various regions of Montgomery County will benefit from this, and I'm excited to put these dollars to effective use. Thank you very much.
I'd now like to introduce Abby Newman, Executive Director of Mission Kids, for a few comments.
Thank you, Marcy. I want to express our deep gratitude and appreciation to Representative Toepel, all of the commissioners of Montgomery County, the entire Montgomery County delegation who have worked tirelessly for years and years to get this bill passed and bring this money back to Montgomery County. Commissioner Gale, thank you for those kind words about Mission Kids. I don't want to belabor it, except to say that child abuse touches every race, every ethnicity, and every community in Montgomery County. 10 to 20% of all children will be victims of child sexual abuse before the age of 18. As we all hear in the news now, there are many victims who come forward as adults because child abuse can have a lifetime effect if not treated. The success of Mission Kids lies in the fact that we are the only entity serving child abuse victims that bring together all partner agencies in a collaborative effort to benefit the child and the family, and by that I mean the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, all 50 police departments, the Office of Children and Youth, mental health, and medical providers. The effect of child abuse casts ripples across our community and generations. Mission Kids combats these ripples with our own. We spread awareness about child abuse, which brings more referrals and allows us to help more children, which in turn increases the need for our services. We moved into a larger site in August and increased the size of our staff, which expanded our budget. We are so grateful for these funds from the money which is now coming back into Montgomery County from the casinos. And it will be available into the future until we are all able to wipe out child abuse. Thank you again, Representative Toepel, the entire delegation, and our commissioners.
Now we'll hear from Beth Sturman, Executive Director of Laurel House.
Thank you. I'm deeply grateful and honored to represent Laurel House and expressing our deep appreciation to Representative Toepel. She has worked tirelessly for almost as long as I can remember in my position on working to make sure that this legislation was put forth and eventually passed. And we've been so appreciative and so hopeful of the ultimate end result, and we're very grateful to all of the folks standing behind me as well as to all the rest of the elected officials throughout Montgomery County. The commissioners as well have supported this effort from the beginning. Commissioner Gale, thank you very much. He gave an excellent description of our services. As he said, we serve people of every race, every ethnicity, every gender, who have been impacted throughout all of Montgomery County by domestic violence. This, unfortunately, as many other social problems, affects everybody. It affects every community. It affects families in every community. And we have served, as Commissioner Gale said, over 3,000 people a year and helped to educate far more. One of the reasons that we're so appreciative of this funding is as we do more and more of the outreach and education, people come forward who otherwise didn't know there was help available or felt very isolated and very alone in the abuse. And as we continue to do that work, to do outreach and to raise the profile and to help people know that it's safe and okay to go out and call for help, the need was always there, but now the request for service is expanding, and it's expanding all over the county. So this funding will help to ensure that as those calls continue to come in and continue to increase, we'll be there to continue to meet the needs. So thank you so much, and thank you again, Marcy.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Risa Furman as well, a current Common Pleas judge who was our former DA, who was also very supportive of this from day one and was at the hearings. All of you were so great in coming to the hearings whenever I called. I said, how about coming to another hearing? And they'd be like, we'll be there. So I want to thank you for that. Now I'd like to introduce Eric Pearson, President and Chief Executive Officer of Valley Forge Casino.
Thank you. I want to definitely give, on behalf of the 1,000 employees of Valley Forge Casino Resort, our appreciation to our Montgomery County representation for getting this bill passed through. It's in addition to the amazing support that we're going to have for these Montgomery County organizations and the parks. It's great to know that where this money is going and these contributions. Since Valley Forge Casino Resort opened, we've contributed almost $9 million to Montgomery County, and to know that's where this support is going forward is fantastic for us to know. And the additional expansion things that came in the bill, us able to remove our patron amenities, access restriction, and some small increases to our casino, I think is going to allow us to contribute that much more to these worthy causes. So thank you very much.
And now I would like to recognize some of my colleagues. First, we'll have Representative Todd Stevens, one of my colleagues who is with me from the beginning, helped draft the legislation and the language that we agreed to with everyone. Todd.
Thank you. Thanks, Marcy. When thank you. It must have been. When we first embarked on this endeavor back in, I guess, 2011, I remember Representative Toepel and Representative Verb coming to me and saying, "Hey, we want to redirect this funding to some county programs. What do you think would be worthwhile?" And I spent 10 years in the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office on the front line, standing shoulder to shoulder with the folks at Laurel House and at Mission Kids. And I couldn't think of two more deserving organizations and frankly, two missions that are more deserving for the funding that this will provide. So it is. We don't often in Harrisburg get to do things where we can directly impact people's lives the way that this funding will. And it's just such an honor to be a part of this initiative and to help these great organizations continue to flourish and continue to serve all those who need their services, unfortunately, here in Montgomery County. So Marcy and everybody else, thanks for the bipartisan effort and thanks for the perseverance to get this across the finish line. And I look forward to more victories for Montgomery County. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And this was a bipartisan effort, and I want to recognize one of my colleagues from across the aisle who was a great supporter. He made phone calls, he talked to folks, and the casinos in his district, which is most important. Representative Tim Briggs.
Thanks, Representative. And I do want to just echo everyone's accolations to you for a great job on making sure that this was a piece of a much larger bill. And it was a bill that was a challenge, and over the years, it wasn't because of this piece that took 5 years. It was the greater gaming expansion bill that we all voted for, largely because of this piece. So Marcy was a great partner in advocating for the strength and growth of Valley Forge Casino. It's 1.8 million now, but I think with some of the key provisions that we were allowed to get into the bill, will help the casino grow and make that number grow even larger. They're going to be successful. They're going to be around a long time, and I just want to thank them for their partnership in our community. And hopefully, the other things that happen in the bill don't water down people visiting Valley Forge. But I think overall, it was a good step for Pennsylvania to make, and it included this local share correction as well. So thank you so much for having me.
Now we'll hear from Representative Tom Quigley.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here today. And again, congratulations to Representative Toepel on her leadership on this issue. It was quite daunting. And as Representative Briggs alluded to, we tried this a couple times of getting it into a larger bill without success, and finally, after the third time was the charm for Representative Toepel as we got it through. You know, the thing with the park and recs, as Commissioner Arcus said, this is something that our residents in Montgomery County have grown to appreciate more and more, and that is the access to these trails, these parks. We just had announcements yesterday from the CFA, from the Marcellus Shale local impact fee. That money was directed down here. We had projects in Royersford and Pottstown on trails and parks and the riverfront in Royersford. So these are things that our people have come to appreciate more and more, and obviously you need the maintenance and the continual upkeep, and that's what I think this local share coming to that portion of the park and recs will certainly serve us here in Montgomery County. So again, congratulations to everyone. It truly was a bipartisan effort. It's great to see that in this day and age that Democrats and Republicans can work together for the common good. Thank you.
And our last speaker, but certainly not least, my good friend, Michael Corr.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here today. Earlier this year, Marcy came to those of us in the Montgomery County delegation and asked us to be co-sponsors on her bill that we're celebrating here today. More recently, it was incorporated into a larger gaming bill. And before I was aware of that, I was considering the bill in its totality, and there was much in it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my predecessor, Mike Vereb, who's here today. I consulted with him and spoke with Marcy, and when it came to light that the local share portion was in there, the rays of sun came through, and it became a very easy vote for me, and I think for many of my colleagues, because as Representative Briggs mentioned, there was a lot in the bill, and there was a lot to consider, but this was, it really made it a lot easier when you considered what we were going to accomplish by voting for the bill with the support of Laurel House, Mission Kids, and the Parks and Trails. So I was proud and happy to vote for the bill, and I'm happy to be here today. Thanks so much.
I want to thank all the speakers here today and for the support, the bipartisan support, with the county support and the nonprofit support and all the calls that were made that we were able to get this done. Sometimes good things do take some time, but we got something really good done here from Montgomery County, and it was a great partnership between the county government and our state government. Are there any questions from the press? No? Well, thank you so much for coming.